One of the most important competencies for leaders is the ability to build trust with their teams. There are even many studies, like one from the Harvard Business Review, that prove that high trust teams have higher productivity, less stress, fewer sick days, and more engagement. So building trust with your team is essential as a leader. And so in this video, I'm going to explain to you one of the models around trust. The Trust Equation by Meister, Green, and Galfer. Hi, I'm Anne Koopmann, and I'm a leadership coach and an expert for team development. And I also used to work as an engineer and as a senior leader in the manufacturing industry for over 10 years. And one thing that I've learned through my time as a leader myself is that building this trust with my team was one of the most important steps whenever I took over a new team or department. Depending where you are at in your journey, whether you're leading a smaller team or a big department or several departments, there's always going to be a lot of different individuals, and with each of them you will have a different relationship, and so building trust might come a bit more natural with some and a little bit harder with others. So the model of the trust equation is a really good way to visualize the different components and the different things that we need to keep in mind when we want to build trust with our team. So this is what the trust equation looks like. Meister, Green, and Galfer have defined it as trustworthiness. And they say that trustworthiness is the sum of credibility, reliability, and intimacy divided by self-orientation. So what does that mean? Let's go and have a bit of a closer look. So in this model, it helps us to understand that there are things above here that will support you building trust and increase the chances of a high trusted environment. And then you have self-orientation at the bottom, which will take away from your trustworthiness. So we have to look at all of these four components to start to understand what we can do as leaders in order to build trust with our teams. So when we think about the trust equation, and we start by credibility. Credibility is the perception of others that you know what you're talking about, that you have the competencies and the skills and the knowledge to do your job well. It's about bringing the right credentials and having the right experience, and then being perceived as being confident in this role and in what is required of you. It's quite a rational factor to look at our credentials, our knowledge, and our experience. But there's also an emotional component to it that's a bit harder to measure, because a big factor of this is, do your people believe that you tell the truth? Do they believe your experience and your knowledge? So this is a little bit harder to look at as a component. The second component on the trust equation was reliability. And this comes down to, do your people trust that you will do what you say you will do? Will you stick to your word? Are you consistent in the way that you show up? Can they predict how you will react in certain situations? Can they rely on you to have their back, for example, or to support them when you said you would? Do they believe that you understand their point of reference and understand where they're coming from and what they need? So reliability, you really can impact by sticking to your word, by being authentic, by making sure that what you say you will actually do in the end. And if you can't say something, or if something changes, that you will communicate transparently about what is not going to happen and why, so that your team members will never lose trust in you and they will never lose belief in your reliability. And then the third component at the top that will increase your trustworthiness is intimacy. Now, reliability and credibility are more rational components that are easy to measure. Intimacy is a very emotional one. This is about how much do they know you? How close do they feel to you? Do they feel emotionally and psychologically safe when they talk to you or when they open up to you? Can they share their mistakes? Can they talk about their issues and problems or insecurities? Can they be vulnerable, and will you react with empathy when they approach you? So this part is really something where it's about you understanding the impact your behaviors and your words have on people. Who do you maybe sometimes exclude without even realizing? Who can you spend a bit more time with? Often we have this unconscious bias as leaders where we spend more time with people that feel similar to us, or that we kind of feel closer to, and we spend less time with people that are different or that we find a little bit odd. But when you're a leader, you got to start to treat everyone fairly and spend time with everyone to invest in these relationships to build trust. So start to reflect on which people you might not have a good relationship with yet, and what can you do to get a little bit closer with them. Maybe you can start to be a bit more vulnerable, share some stories and some experiences, and then invite them to share some mistakes as well, for example. Let's look at our trust equation again, because we now talked about the three factors that increase your trustworthiness, which is credibility, reliability, and intimacy. But there's a big component here at the bottom that will actually take away and reduce your trustworthiness, and that is self-orientation. So self-orientation means that everything is just about you, that you only care about your gain, your goals, your success. Others feel that you are more focused on your own gain instead of the success, the well-being of the team. Then they will lose trust in you. Because how can they trust you if they think that everything you do is calculated for your own success and your own gain and your advantage, and not to support your team? So even if you pretend that you're reliable, that you care about them, but then if your actions actually show that in the end it's just about you and you want to protect your back and you want to protect your image, then they will lose trust in you. This one is difficult to describe and measure, right? Because it can be quite a subjective point of view. But we all know this gut feeling when we can't trust someone, or if somebody is just focused on their own gain. And you can really start to reflect on how can you show your team members, the people that report to you, that you're also interested in their success. How can you support their success? How can you give more than you take? So this is a really incredible model for you to just start to reflect on the different components of building trust and start to think about which are the areas that you feel like you're not as strong in yet. And then start to take actions to increase those at the top and decrease your self-orientation at the bottom. You can also ask your team members for feedback to start to get an understanding of how they see you and maybe what actions you can take. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions on building trust with your team, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon.